All right, here we go back with another episode of the Dealer Playbook Podcast. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Actually, scratch that, man. I'm glad you're here with me any day you are watching or listening. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. And listen, for either party who's listening or watching, swap over, go subscribe on both of those mediums, whether it's YouTube or iTunes, and follow the show so you can get the latest updates. But today, I want to just dive in here because I wanted to do this episode for quite some time. And, thinking about Facebook specifically and Facebook advertising and strategy around Facebook advertising, there was only one person, hear me when I tell you this, okay? There was only one person that I could think of, and that was Molly Pittman from Digital Marketer. Now, if you haven't heard of Digital Marketer, I would strongly encourage you to go check them out, digitalmarketer.com. They are a marketing company who produces zillions, if that's, let's just pretend that's a word. They produce zillions of case studies. But what makes these case studies unique about marketing is that they are case studies that they have conducted themselves, spanning the 20 companies that they have. Everything from selling survival gear online to DIY home projects to marketing agencies to you name it. They've got a variety of companies, and they just run case studies. I think something like $15 million worth of their own money in case studies throughout their companies over the last 36 months. And so Digital Marketer is the arm of their business that shares this information. They have things like execution plans and stuff like that you'll hear Molly mention briefly in the episode, and that I'm going to link to in the show notes over at www.thedealerplaybook.com/95. So with all of that as the premise, and as Molly being gracious enough to join me, let's dive into this episode of the Dealer Playbook so that you can learn a Facebook ad strategy that is super sustainable and that's going to help your dealership dominate the market. Here we go. Okay, so I'm sitting down now with, seriously, the only name that came to my mind when I thought about Facebook and Facebook advertising. I'm here with Molly Pittman from Digital Marketer. Molly, thanks so much for joining me on the Dealer Playbook.
Hey, Michael. I love your radio voice.
Oh, shucks. It's very Dr. Fraser Craney, I've been told.
You can't not listen. So,
Well, that's exciting. Thank you.
That's the most important part, right?
How do I get my wife to not roll her eyes when she hears me talk, though?
Oh, no, that probably has more to do with the words that are coming out of your mouth. But
Nail on head. So, you know what? Thanks so much. I'm super, super pumped about this. Like I was saying to you pre-show, we are at my agency huge fans of Digital Marketer, and that's pretty much because of, the credibility that comes behind running $15 million worth of tests on your own companies in the last, what's it been, year or just over a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And, I think just being able to take the things that you guys run as case studies and see that they work. So, when it came time to talk about this topic, which is all about Facebook and Facebook ad strategies and those sorts of things, I'm really excited to just kind of dive into your brain here and bring my audience with me on the journey that is now going to be, I don't know what we'll call it, Molly Pittman's Facebook strategy for success. So I want to kick this off, okay? Because car dealers, we've talked about in a previous episode how car dealers are starting to migrate budgets into Facebook. They've been doing Google ads and retargeting and all those sorts of things, display ads and whatever. But we know that a lot of the advertising is very low funnel, 0.9% APR financing, and we've got the best prices in town and $10,000 cash back, and everybody's saying the same thing. So I want to turn this over to you. When it comes to Facebook, what is would you say, I guess across the board, is maybe the most common mistake that advertisers or users are making? And what can they do to solve that problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the biggest mistake, especially when you're talking about moving budget from Google over to Facebook, and, making the assumption that we have this marketing message and it's going to work on Google, Facebook, billboards, direct mail. Number one, that's the biggest mistake, right? All of these platforms are different. And, they're different, number one, because people use them for different reasons, right? So Google is where someone goes to ask a question or figure out an answer to a question. So like you said, they're a lot further down the funnel, right? They're past the awareness stage, and they're actually in the moment of starting to look for a car, right? Or really starting to do their research, to compare cars and figure out interest rates and where they want to buy.
Right.
Someone on Google is a lot further down the customer journey, right? And they're also in a very proactive mode where they're actually in there Googling. So think of that more as yellow pages, right? Mm-hmm. So not only is it used in a different way because it's a search engine, the customer is also at a different point in the journey, so you can speak to them differently. You can speak to them about interest rates. You can speak to them about the specifics that they're ready to learn about. Whereas on Facebook, it's a social platform. People are on Facebook to look at pictures of their friends, share vacation photos. And people are on Facebook too to look at advertisements that are of interest to them, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not looking for ads that are, hey, here's the interest rate, or buy this, do this now, because it probably doesn't relate to them in the moment.
So it's almost like it's almost like
it's a billboard. So think of Google as yellow pages and Facebook is a billboard, right? It's much further up. It's higher in the funnel, right? They're still in the awareness or lack of awareness phase that they have this problem or that they need to solve a problem. So that's really the biggest mistake that people make is they take the same messaging and, the same system that they've used on Google to sell cars, and they try to just move part of the budget over to Facebook and use that same system, but it doesn't work because not only is the platform different in the way that it works, it's more of a billboard, but the person's also in a different state of mind.
And so I guess it's kind of like you need to be very, very conscious of who you're speaking to and the venue in which you're speaking to them. But also, would you say that the ads, because, taking this yellow pages concept and moving it over to a social concept or a billboard concept, it's too disruptive. Like if you're gonna advertise on Facebook, it's almost like that the ads need to feel like they fit in with the newsfeed.
Absolutely. They need to fit in with the news feed, but they also need to fit in with the customer journey, right? So when you're running ads, you need to think about, number one, who am I running this ad to? So if you're a dealership and you're in Austin, Texas, and you're going to target everyone that lives in Austin and not just people that might have purchased from you before, or, somehow in the targeting you figured out who might be interested in buying a car, but you're really just wanting to spread this message. Well, the message you're going to spread isn't going to be about interest rates or, whatever your, unique selling proposition is for your business. It needs to be something that meets these people where they are. So if you know that they live in Austin, we need to take a few steps back. We need to go further up the funnel, and we need to talk to them about things that are of interest to them, right? So it's kind of the difference between, and this is the analogy we always use at Digital Marketer. If you were to walk into a bar and walk up to someone that you've never met before and ask them to marry you, that's creepy because it doesn't make sense, with the point, where you are in the relationship, right? Yeah. The same thing it happens the same way with your customers. And so many businesses make this mistake. They expect to ask all of these people on Facebook to marry them. And it's weird and it's creepy and it actually pisses them off and deters them from your business because that's not, the stage that they're in. So we need to take it a few steps back and we need to walk up to this person and start a conversation. Right?
What a novel idea.
Actually talk
Yeah.
and then progress the relationship from there. Ask them to go to coffee, ask them to go on a date, right? And treat these people like normal human beings because that's what they are.
It's funny you're saying this because I feel like a rant of mine that's been pretty consistent over the last, year has been, okay, like why does sitting behind the keyboard all of a sudden make us feel like we've transported into an alternate reality where being a loser is okay? Like you're saying this and
robots.
just being a robot and like doing things that, actually I had this conversation a while back with some of my team members, not that they thought this way, but it's almost like, the prominent question is like, what do we say online? What do we do online? And I'm like, well, imagine you're standing in a group of people or you see a group of people talking about something. In real life, you would not walk up to them and be like, hey guys, here's why I think I'm awesome.
Right. Exactly.
And here's what I do for a living, and here's why I'm standing here now because I want to take all your money. Like, if you wouldn't do that in real life, like, definitely don't do it on social media because it's the exact same thing. But before we move on, I just want to make it clear for those of you listening or watching that no, it is not okay to just walk into a bar and ask somebody to marry you because it definitely is really creepy.
Very creepy.
We are not cavemen. So exactly. A very poignant analogy. Yes. Okay. So we are, we're moving back in the funnel and we're focused on building relationships. That means, would that suggest then that, what you advertise isn't going to be necessarily about, what am I trying to say? About your products or services immediately.
Yeah. And, going back to car dealerships, it's a switch from, running an ad that's a picture of a car and talking about the costs and how it's lower than the other dealerships and the interest rate is great. It's taking us to a few steps back and talking to this person about something that they're interested in. So again, if it's a local audience, say we're in Austin, I would run an ad to a blog post or a piece of content that maybe talks about, the best driving routes in the city, the most scenic driving routes in the city, right? Or you said this before we got on, where to drive in the city to put your kid to sleep, right? Yeah. Routes, bedtime routes, maybe.
Yeah, totally.
And even if it doesn't even have to be car focused, really what you're trying to do is engage with these people and really trying to connect with someone that lives in a particular area. Because the good thing about cars, almost everyone has a car, right? This is a pretty broad market. Everyone knows the benefit of having a car, right? Not
only that, everybody knows that as a car dealer, you sell cars. So stop stop spending your money advertising the obvious. Yeah.
Right. So you don't have to use your ads and your content to sell them on needing to buy a car. You can purely build this relationship off of whatever these people are interested in. Yeah. So if you can make it about cars and driving routes and even connected into kids or speaking to people with families, that's awesome. But really just leading with value, the best dog parks in the city, or even sharing a case study, maybe highlighting a particular individual in the community that's done something really great, right? Running an ad to say, let's celebrate this person that did something really awesome for the community. That ad will get a lot of engagement. It's a really positive ad.
Which we need more of these days.
Yes. And it's getting your brand as a car dealership out there, right? They're thinking, oh, wow, AJ's auto dealership, they shared this really positive ad. I liked their page. I have, they're on they're top of mind for me. Yeah. So when I go to buy a car or my friends talking about buying a car, I'm going to think about, AJ's auto dealership.
Which would which would like be listed really highly in the yellow pages, by the way.
Right? Triple A.
Yeah, triple A plus triple A J's auto dealer. It's funny you say this because I think, this is such a relevant message. It's something that, look, this is a strategy that doesn't or will not just work for car dealers. It's a strategy that works for anybody who needs to establish a certain type of presence especially in their local market. And, we hear all about this in the car industry that, look, there's this black cloud that hangs over car dealers. Everyone thinks they're scammers. Mass media perpetuates that, oh, look at that, we're uncovering this scam from this car dealer and this and that. And so it's funny, like we've been talking about, that dealers would spend money advertising the obvious instead of shifting their focus on how do I reestablish or establish a presence in this community where we are a credible source of information, we participate in the community, we have buy-in to the community.
We help people.
We help people. We have a positive message because it's funny. I was listening to or watching a presentation by Scott Stratton from Unmarketing, and he said something very, very interesting. And that was that we spend so much time focused on our brand, the image. How does our logo look, and how does this and all these sorts of things line up? And we spend all this money on portraying a certain image. But what he said that stood out to me was, once people experience your brand, the experience becomes the brand.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of the same thing. Like if all you want people to experience is that you're not giving the community a reason to not believe the negative things they hear about car dealers by just being that same like sales. Hey, we got the best deals in town, except they're the same deals that every other Ford store has because, well, our price, that sort of a thing. And following this approach. So here's where I kind of want to go with this. I so deeply in my soul believe that this is the right thing because it works for my company. It works for the clients that we work with extremely well. What's the strategy here though? Because I know, obviously everything's now going to come down to the dollars and cents of it. If I'm spending money to establish a presence and to get a different type of message out, what's my next step to have that turn into some sort of opportunity? Everybody's going to say, look, I need to sell cars. So how do we take this strategy where we've moved back higher up in the funnel and we've started engaging people there to get them to start moving down the funnel?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's really just tacking the strategy we just talked about on top of what you're doing. So it's leading with, this value, this ad that's giving value, that's saying, hey, nice to meet you. We are X, Y, and Z, and, I want to learn about you. Here's this ad. It's engaging. It's something of value. That's their first impression of you. And then you can start to retarget and follow up more specifically about what you have to offer, right? So it's not that the messages are bad in terms of the specifics of interest rates or types of cars. People want to know that stuff. But every time you turn on a TV, there's a commercial that's saying the same thing. People are blind to those messages, especially in mass markets like cars. So if you sort of flip the script and you get value on the front and then work down with retargeting, you can still use the same messaging, but just speaking to the person when they're actually ready to hear it, when they want the specifics. And I really like what you said about the experience, because that's something we're really teaching right now, and we're calling it the customer factory. So a brand is not your logo. It's not your business cards. We don't even have business cards at Digital Marketer, right? People probably think that's ridiculous. It doesn't matter. matter. Our logo, we didn't spend that much time on it, right? Even our website as a digital marketing company isn't where we want it to be right now. But guess what? We don't really care. It works. And our brand is much more than our perception online. Our brand is how we help our customers, and not to be woo woo or, we're just here to help the community. We're a real business and we're here to make money, but it all comes down to value and experience. So, if you think of it like a customer factory, and you're putting people into this factory and your business is the factory, how are they coming out on the other side a better person or a changed person than they were before, right? In simple terms, if you're a gym, people come in physically and mentally not fit and unhappy, and they come out a better version of themselves, right? Of course, not every market it's that black and white, but it's really about the value. It's about that experience. For example, I bought my car from CarMax, and it was a really great experience for me because it was no haggle. It was really fast.
Right.
It was very easy to, they bought my old car. Like, the experience was very simple for someone who isn't well educated in how to buy cars. So, that's the value they gave me. It wasn't about the car, right? I could have bought that car at that price with the same features anywhere else in the country, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But what I really liked about CarMax and why I recommend them to friends and family is because it was easy, right? The experience, what you just talked about, was different than I had experienced before, and it was of great value to me personally. So, like you said, in a funnel, right? How does this come into play? Well, if you lead with an ad that's really meeting people where they are. So like we talked about, talking about something in the community, sharing something of value, driving routes that people might have not discovered, right?
Yeah.
Just giving them something that's intriguing and engaging and not asking for something in return. Well, then on Facebook, you can follow up with things like video or carousel ads where you can talk about what value you give as a business or the experience. So, if I was CarMax, I would run a carousel ad that has the different images that are in sequence and say, step one, come to the dealership and it's going to be no haggle pricing.
Sure.
Step two, pick out your car. Step three, we'll evaluate. It's obvious I don't know a lot about this stuff. But they're speaking to their value, what they give customers, and then follow up with, okay, here are the specifics, types of cars, interest rates, what they cost. But that's for people that have already showed interest in the other steps. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but it's really about, the experience and how can you speak to that in the ads.
Well, and just to be fair, everything you've just said, I would submit that you actually know more about the process than you just said. Because it is a brilliant strategy. I think sometimes we get so lost in, like, crap, I've got a budget. I need to show ROI from this budget. What you're telling me moves me back from a place that I'm like, I've not explored before. And so now I'm worried that this isn't going to, do anything for me. But I love what you said about, well, we're not talking about stopping the messaging that you currently have. We're just talking about adding more strategy on top of it.
Exactly. So that you can scale. Because if you were asking me as a car dealership, I have $5 and I want to turn it into $10.
Yeah.
What should I do? I would tell you to go to Google because that's going to allow you to catch people that are in the moment of buying. But guess what? There are only going to be so many people that are, in that purchase mindset at any given time in a particular area. You can't scale that. Right? You have no control over that. Sure. You can't make someone need a new car. That's a big purchase. So when you talk about scale, it's not there on Google, right? That's when you need to go to a social platform like Facebook, and you need to run ads that meet people where they are, that aren't talking about buying a car. Because I guarantee you, if you build those relationships, even if it's not 5 days later that you see, oh wow, there are 10 new people in here ready to buy cars, it's going to be a compounding snowball effect. Because then when they're ready to buy a car, they're going to think about you. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to share this ad. And, I understand it comes down to budgets and money, and that's very important. But I promise you, even if you were to spend $20 a day on an ad like this in your area, it's going to make a big, big difference. And I'm not talking even months down the road. Give it 4 to 6 weeks. And I guarantee that you'll see an increase from those, engaging ads.
Well, and it makes me think about, how many, especially, I mean, for those of you listening in who are maybe not even in a bigger market like Austin or Chicago or LA or something like that, but you are in a community with 30,000 people. I mean, this is the type of strategy, if you really want to dominate that market and like put a footprint so big on that market where, I mean, you're top of mind for everybody, this strategy, I mean, like my brain's moving on. I want to just start calling people and tell them like some of the ideas that are floating through my brain with this. I mean, I had a conversation with a client a few weeks ago, and we were talking about this sort of thing. I mean, I'm in Canada, so we were talking about Canada Day, and I said, hey, look, do you have anything going on Canada Day? And they said, no, we're not doing anything. And I was like, I'm like, go get your little booth, find a place at the park, go to the dollar store, buy every last face painting kit there is in that place. And on your Facebook page, instead of saying, hey, come check out our new whatever, Chevy Silverado at the park, it's like, hey, come down, say hi, and let your kids get their face painted for free.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another reason for them to come to your dealership than just the cars, right?
Yeah,
You're meeting them where they are.
I love it.
Absolutely. And even if you're in a small community, I grew up in a really small town. And even if it's not a small town, this is just something I kind of thought of. Highlight some of your customers, right? So if CarMax came to me and asked me to do, a story on how I felt about purchasing a car from them, testimonials, and not just, oh, this was the best car ever, but speaking to the experience, they made it easy, right? Highlight one of those people in an ad, especially in a small community where people know one another. And it's like, oh, well, Jane bought a car here and it was really easy and she loved it. And I saw this ad. Why wouldn't I do the same?
Yeah, totally. Brilliant. It's all about shaping an experience. It's about showing that, look, we are not a car dealership. We are a group of people who work inside of a building that's called a car dealership. And so, like, hey, you need to get to know us, and you need to get to know the experiences that people are having by partnering with us or working with us. I love it. So
and just to add to that really quick, Richard Linder, our president, I just thought about this. We were having a conversation the other day back to it really is all about people and relationships. He had a car picked out at a dealership that he really wanted. And I think it was a Mercedes, and he went in, and the sales guy was just a total jerk to Richard and his wife, and he ended up leaving, going to a totally different dealership, and it now has the intention of purchasing an Audi, like a totally different car, just because of that interaction. So, people respond to people. People buy because of story. People buy because of other people. It's not about the cars. And if it is about the car, then that person's going to go on Google and probably buy the car online because they're looking for the cheapest price for exactly what they want. If they know exactly what they want, that's Google, right?
Yeah.
But most people don't. I would say that's 10% of people. Sure. The rest of the people are kind of just floating and making decisions based off relations and emotions.
You know what? My last car purchase, albeit I lucked out and I got the brand that I wanted, I ended up buying it from from a dealership who just made things much easier for me.
Absolutely.
And
that's all it's about.
Like I'm in the industry. So I roll down the street, I drive 30, 40 minutes away to like the actual brand's dealership, and like they just weren't willing to play ball or make it an easy experience. 35 seconds down the street from my office is another dealership, and they're like, yeah, we've got one of these. You should come check it out. I'll have it ready to go. You can roll in. I'll have it plated up, and you can go take it for your test drive. I was like, boom.
Right. Yeah.
That afternoon, I'm buying a car
easy.
kind of a thing. Yeah, it was super easy. And, it totally does make a difference. And I guess, for those of you listening or watching, the point we're trying to get at here is that the ads you do don't always have to just get to the point of buying something.
Right.
You can advertise, and it's okay to promote your vision as a business and what you're trying to accomplish and who you are and what kind of experience people can expect. And I mean, it's like what you said about CarMax. I mean, think of how much time, money, and energy they put into advertising this easy, unhaggle experience. And what made the difference, I would submit, or you tell me, maybe I'm wrong, but I would submit that, what made the difference and why you chose to work there is because what you learned from the messages they put out aligned with the real life experience.
Absolutely. And it's so important when you're speaking to that and you're saying, that you're talking to the end user and their benefit. So it's not, hey, we're CarMax and we believe that the mission of the world should be this. And we were founded in this year and our CEO is so-and-so, right?
Sure.
People don't care about that. People don't care about you, right? People don't care about strangers. Well, that's harsh, but in relation to reading marketing messages, something that relates to them and benefits them is going to be of much more interest than the backstory of some brand or company. So keep in mind when you are writing ad copy, when you are speaking to these people, that you're talking about the experience that you provide and talking about the experience that you provide and how that relates to them and benefits them, because that's what they're going to respond to.
I could talk about this all day, but I know both of us don't have the luxury of that kind of time. I guess what I would say here is, look, for those of you who are kind of in the mindset of, we know we need to do something different, that this pray and spray strategy of advertising our business is quickly coming to a halt and it's not working and we're looking for something more sustainable. Well, here is the alternative. This is what an actual strategy looks like. You've heard us talk about on previous episodes of the podcast about how you need to know your audience. You need to craft messaging that resonates with them. And one of the fastest ways to rise above the clutter and dominate your market is by saying something different than what everybody else is saying. Look, I would venture to say that, if there's 50 dealerships in your community, you will be the one who is finally not saying,
oh, totally,
financing and this and that and all those sorts of things. And by virtue of that, you're just gonna rise above the clutter.
Yes.
Okay, Molly, I'm going to wind this thing down. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about, maybe not specifically how people can get in touch with you, because I don't want your inbox to fill up, but, maybe just direct us where you'd like people to check out to learn more information about strategy and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So digitalmarketer.com, we have a lot of free resources on our blog. If you check out the products page, we have, some smaller execution plans, we call them. So you can learn, how to set up a Facebook campaign, how to craft a lead magnet, as we call it, all kinds of little execution plans for like $7. So yeah, just hop over to our website, Facebook page, and lots of free content on there.
And we're going to link to all of that in the show notes. Firsthand experience will tell you need to go check that stuff out. It's one of the things in my toolkit, my marketing arsenal of things that absolutely work that you need to check out. But you know what, Molly, thanks so much for taking the time with me today.
Yeah, this was a blast. Thank you so much, Michael.
All right, what'd you think? Power bombs left, right, and center, right? I mean, this is something that you really should consider implementing in your dealership or in your business. Look, I recognize there are people listening or watching the show that are not car dealers. And to be quite honest with you, this is a strategy that is not specific to car dealers, okay? This works in any other type of business. And look, I'm sensitive to the fact that there are those of you inside the car business right now who are working side deals, who have multiple streams of income. And so this is a strategy that will work no matter what your business, no matter what your niche is. And so, the big thing that stands out to me here is the fact that, look, we've talked about this before. As a car dealer, everybody knows what you do. You're a car dealer. You could walk along the street and talk to anybody and they would tell you they know what a car dealership does. And so the irony in spending your money advertising something that everyone already knows. And so this strategy, what I loved about what Molly said here is this is a strategy that can be stacked on top of what you're already doing. So we're not suggesting, hey, stop your advertising that talks about financing plans and interest rates and cash back and incentives and promotions, all these sorts of things. We're not suggesting that at all. What we are saying is the things we talked about today can be stacked on top of what you're already doing. And in so doing, you start reaching out to other phases of the buying funnel in a way and about topics that they care about. Because like you heard Molly say, and like I'll add my voice to, everybody's a car shopper at some point or another in their life. Especially in North America and Europe, we understand the importance of having a vehicle. In other parts of the world, don't get me wrong. Don't read into that. I'm not excluding countries that drive vehicles or anything like that. But we understand the convenience of having a vehicle, and so this strategy to capture people where they are, to speak about topics that are more general, more share-worthy especially, you're sitting on a gold mine of opportunity to have people think about your store and think about your dealership top of mind when they enter the phase of the buying process where they're ready to show intent. I hope you got value out of this episode of the Dealer Playbook. If you're watching here on YouTube, would you do me a favor and click like and subscribe so that you can get updated on the latest episodes as they come out? Stay tuned for Mondays, where we have a new segment called Minisode Monday, that's where you're just going to get a ton more value, more actionable snippets into like a 10-minute little minisode. And also, if you're on iTunes, I would love a review. It's like my oxygen. I can't tell you how much I love hearing and getting feedback from all of you listening to the show on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. So make sure you do that. And as always, guys, check out the show notes, www.thedealerplaybook.com/95. And until next time, keep the playbook open and dominate.